Good afternoon. We are Tuesday and not Thursday, the 15th of October. Well, we have a little bit of change of plans for this next couple of weeks. So I asked for some flexibility and hopefully you guys can adapt. I welcome everybody who is with me today on You Change the World. You Change the World, a coaching, mediation, live event and as well as a podcast. I try to be one of the millions and millions of podcasts to give something different to my audience. And this is really coming from the unique experience of coaching people that are working in organizations of all types and also entrepreneurs and professionals who are really every day challenged by different things that also have their algorithm. In other words, I try and artificial intelligence is coming close to coaching to give us this tool that we can eventually see what is dominant in the minds of our clients and what they bring to the coaching sessions. You know, I will tell you that most of the time it has to do with uncertainty these days, and it has to do with the matrix organization in many, many instances because it's confusing and it's really complex. As I said, there is no organizations today that really work or can be proven as the right model for being the best organized entities. There is none. I'm sorry, but I will make that statement. So they do their best, and as long as shareholders can get their dividends, and if it's a public company or if it's a smaller type of private company, generate profit, we are not, in the world of um, sweating for making a living without, of course, getting the benefit of the efforts. But we want also to consider those organizations as communities of people, as human beings that are working together, or if they are individuals that are autonomous and work on their own, they work with partners and they work also in the virtual world like I do. And they have all kind of people that are in their circles. And it's why interactions, dynamics are complex to understand when you're alone. Using a coach is a sounding board, or she, that has been trained to listen to you actively, to give you really back what you're saying and reframe it so that it's even clearer, and all kind of other things like that that do not make a coach a consulting or an advisor, but make the coach a coach, optimizing, maximizing, seeing the non-seen, listening to the non-heard, or the non on or the non-said. So it's extremely important in this day and age to have partners to get straight to the point or really see more clearly than you would if you would be alone. Bring the situations in a confidential, private setting, and those situations can be rehearsed, can be replayed, all kind of different things that we do here in that space for 45 or 60 minutes or sometimes more. And then we use different tools, assessments and all kind of other tools to help validate or get deeper into different things that are very important for an individual or for a team. I've been coaching teams and groups also lately. It's fascinating. It's a different type of thing. It's a different type of coaching, but it's fascinating to see just how people grow and how they grow so their mindset and awareness out there to do a better job, especially understanding each other, communicating. And then comes the mediation. For me, it was a natural move to add the mediation to the coaching because I knew that in mediation, parties that are in conflict need coaching to communicate better, to reflect, to have some more responsibility in a way of what they're going to decide or why the dispute exists and what are maybe the roots of that dispute so that we can try to resolve it. And then the mediation to the coaching, there is a lot of instances of conflict resolution issues and disputes, and especially in teams. And this is too bad that we are sometimes wasting time or going around and around in circle, just because there is no people that are really in the middle, neutral, that can really try to make these people communicate and listen to each other. Right? Sounds very simple, but it is what I do all day. And this is fascinating again, fascinating. On the mediation side, there's two types that I really cover. One is commercial mediation, the other one is marital and family mediation. The marital family mediation, of course, has to do with divorce and separation and also conflicts of kinds that are much more emotional, much more consequential because children are involved and different things like that. So it's crucial on both sides that really we value the moment of the exercise. We value the moment of the coaching exercise. I invite you really to go and visit the website www.coachingpath.com or andrepulitzer.com. Have a look, explore. There's different examples there, and it really also gives you to a tab that is called mediation to understand a little bit better what is at stake when we are organizing a mediation table. Today, I wanted to talk about something pretty amazing because we never talk about this. It is something that I personally carried on in my career to think out of the box. It's not something that I did on purpose. I just had to react to different things or find my ways because things were not so easy to bring. And that's what I did most of the time, a new technology to market, and find the first client, the first customer who would be courageous and brave to use and try the technology and then be a first client that is happy to become the referral for the second, and et cetera, et cetera. This takes a long time. It takes a lot of excruciating efforts, but it is worthwhile when you see that company after that planting the seeds and starting to grow. And it didn't start on bootstrapping all the time, but it started usually very basic, and then sometimes it started with a few millions and became bigger. But the risk has been taken by other companies than me, and then I did on my own a couple of times. And it's really what life is all about. You need to have faith in yourself and faith in what you do, and especially in what you like and are passionate about. If I like the technology and I said, well, I want to bring this to the American market, and I really did, it's something that obviously, if I'm convinced, will probably happen because my conviction and different other things that I'm going to use to make it happen, and especially building a good team, all those different sensitive elements to make a business sensitive and how can I say, and risky, that really require a lot of agility and a lot of checkings. After that, the coaching came up because it was a natural move. After done with all of this, I said, well, let me maybe help other people than myself and give back a little bit. And this is what I do every day. So thinking out of the box was really what really taught me how to differentiate and especially find shortcuts sometimes to get out of the weeds and started to be really efficient. It was a kind of method or a mode of a mindset, let's put it this way, that was very helpful. I could always be complimented somehow by other people who would do it a different ways, much more methodologically sometimes, or in a much more predictable uh, manner. And the predictability in anything that we do, especially in the business world, is very important. I was not the unpredictable, I was just the out of the box element. This is why, for me, it's a little bit easier to bring this topic out here, because in the coaching and every single day, I see how important it is for people to have their framework, work within that framework and be efficient with it, understand and align with different conformities, and be very compliant to many things. And sometimes a company can be very regimented, uh, and it's totally necessary that it has to be. I imagine a school, a public school. I imagine a hospital, all those, or a hotel, right? Things that have crews an airline, and the staff that has to serve, but also protect the passengers, and that's the whole service industry that is involved, and the medical field, of course. All of those different industries, applications of human touch and services require a very strong discipline, best practices, and procedures and processes, and that's very good. But when it comes to strategy, when it comes to fixing a problem, when it comes to a crisis, you need at the table a few minds that can be extremely out of the box because they do not think the way the other ones do, or they will go beyond and look at things that nobody really look at. So this is really, I think, the setting that I wanted to address today, because in coaching, you also are really always interested to bring a new angle in how the people really manage or lead. And what is a leader if it's not someone who has a diversity of thought, is open minded, sometimes has a global experience? When I say global, I say really worldly experience, uh, leads multicultural, environments where people come from all over the world, or with an incredible amount of backgrounds and educational backgrounds. And that's what I think is inclusion and diversity. This is because you embrace that when you're a leader. You learn about people's background, you listen to them, you're very compassionate, empathetic, you take the time to understand why the person would react this way or speak that way or expect that. Even sometimes in the set of expectations, people moved recently from a country, or are in, like I did, years ago, and moving from France to the US, especially from Paris, France to Dallas, Texas, was a big cultural shock. Adapting to this took me a little bit of a while, if it's not even to this day, that I'm still having some cultural gaps that I just can't help having. And now living with it, accepting it, and saying, well, I come from another education. And if hopefully anyone I work with accept that, then we are in very good harmony and we can really understand each other, that we haven't we haven't been educated the same way. That's what inclusion and diversity is. I would love that truth starts to be dominant in everything that we hear and that everything that we read about information. You see me saying this almost every week now, or writing some postings about it, because I'm obsessed, really becoming really obsessed by truth. I I am so shocked how many people, and mass of people, are followers of things that are untrue and constantly driven by agendas, and people who have an agenda and are vicious with and malicious with their agenda. And when it's politics, it's never good. And we are right in the middle of this, a few weeks away from a presidential election. I'm totally, totally shocked. It's an exaggeration. It's a caricature of what I'm saying. It's a caricature of what I'm saying. What I'm saying is totally minimal compared to what's happening out there. It's a terrible thing on both sides. I do not like media. I don't like at all what the media do, social media, as well as everybody that is every big channel reaching out to so many people, that is completely manipulated and controlled by those who buy it out or have a financial influence and try to trick the system. It's horrible. And I'm just always inviting you, as my very small audience can eventually take this from me, is that you are autonomous with your own decision and judgment. Please remain that way. Trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your values and your core values, and try to separate yourself from and self also assess that you are not influenced by external toxic influence. This is really crucial to make a decision and take your ballot that 5th of November and put it in there, because you have a duty to do it. Hopefully it goes where you want it to go. That's my problem with everything. I just don't trust anything anymore. The pharmaceutical industry, the things that have been happening with COVID, the politics, the last election and the election before the last, and different things with the American politics, which is so binary, between the blue and the red color. It's nothing else. I mean, everything in between doesn't have any impact. It's really, really a sad story. And history has proven that usually we need to pay the price when it's that way until we learn the lesson and we try to make it a little bit better. And some good people are appearing on the surface and become hopefully the leaders to take care of the situation. But that's a parenthesis, but it's still the same. If people would just be authentically themselves, trust their judgment and their values, well, the world will be different. Unfortunately, people can be like sponges and be brainwashed and take this and, like robots, repeat exactly what they heard, trust it 100% when it's been completely false. And it's really, really sad. It creates wars, it creates crimes, it creates corruptions, all kind of things that are so unfortunately impossible to deal with and impossible to live with. This is why it's so difficult for a coach in leadership to see this happening, because I don't understand in that case what we're talking about when we talk about leadership. Leadership is not what you see in politics. And when leaders use politics to get their way through, it's again the wrong choice. So when we talk about thinking out of the box, maybe this is thinking out of the box just for what I said, that we should be able to be successful without using politics to get our way and things done, right? We don't need to. Usually an outcome or a result of people who have lack self-esteem, lack self-confidence, and start now to be twisted minded instead of trying to connect to their core and be clear with everybody they deal with good intentions, well-being, and positive intentions. This is what we need to go back to. How is it going to happen with all this amount of astronomical amount of fake everything? This is why I'm really working on authenticity and that people understand their values, that they assess them, that they're proud of them, and that they can live their own identity independently from any influence, external influence, making their own judgment and their own choices. That's what I think a free world is and should be left to. And what I'm saying here is not political, it's leadership. That's what it is. Back to thinking out of the box. I'm getting all over the place, right? Well, I'm a little distracted by all of this, like you probably are, and I'm trying not to watch too much news or read too. But I'm lying a little bit to you when I say that. It's just because we're getting closer that I'm a little bit more curious now. And there's so much going on, the wars and in the Middle East and all of that. I'm totally connected to that. So I of course want to be informed. But my challenge, like yours, is to get the right information. So that's why I try to use my judgment and really trust it. That's, I think, the basic of everything. Are the benefits of thinking out of the box? We have another 10 minutes. Why I'm encouraging people to do so when they can. It's not given to everybody to have this talent or this capability to think out of the box. But when you bring yourself to a brainstorming session, when you are a strategic mind, when you are asked and expected to bring a strategic insight for the growth of the company, for the future of your organization, or for your future, thinking out of the box can absolutely be a huge asset because you are going to look at things that others don't. And this add value is going to maybe sometimes be the solution to the problem or really the vision for the entire company. If it's a transformation, if it's a reaction to competition or losing market share, how do you fix that? How do you fix something that has to do with quality of service? I posted yesterday something. That's a good example because that's a dear topic to me, as you know. All the technology solutions that I promoted in my career were customer focused oriented or patient focused oriented because I always been, this is how I started my career with high demanded, luxury, high end hospitality clients and guests that I needed to address and really personalize the service to their very high expectations. From that, I learned all the metrics really of what you call today CRM. customer relationship management. But in everything that I did, my imagination, my creativity, my working with engineers, technical people, I am just was a I called myself an idiot-proof user, right? I wanted everything that I was selling to be user friendly, to have really, it's not like some brands out there I could tell you are almost making this on purpose, that it's very not user friendly. But user friendly is something. The other thing that also I am extremely concerned about is the chat box. Is a good example. The chat box and which is the chat bot today. Are you really enjoying that? Do you get your answers when you speak to a bot about your need and what you're asking? When the bot is going to bring you all kind of options and articles that are long to read, that are not personalized, don't you want to deal with a human being, with a human voice? So this is another topic for another day, but something has to do with a trend, things that start try that are that they attempt they're trying to enforce on you because it saves them tremendous amount of money. I remove all these different positions, all these different people that I need to train that will serve you live, real time. There is a few companies today that are going to do this domestically with people in the US if it's a US service. Otherwise, they will outsource this. And you have this experience like I do with people overseas in Asia most of the time who are not speaking very good English and who are not knowing at all about the product or the service you're asking about. Or you escalate after an hour speaking with this person or texting with this person because they are removing also the possibility of talking on the phone. All these different filters and all these different prompts that you have to go through. It's a nightmare to the user. It's a nightmare to the consumer. It's a huge amount of time. So you are discouraged. You are going to the manuals or you are just giving up and you do the next thing. So I'm thinking out of the box. I'll tell you one thing. When I'm not getting what I need and this is really getting me stuck, sometimes I go on LinkedIn and I write to the CEO of the company. And most of the time I get an answer and I get a follow-up. And it is happening. And I get someone from the, headquarters or the office of the CEO. But when that happens with a company like Verizon or, for telecom or anything like this, I get to what I need. It's a shame that I have to do all these, you know, turns right and left, but it's tweaked, it's switched, it's kind of twisted. But what can I do? This is not straight, and because it's not, I need to think out of the box, and I need to do what I just said. I go through a CEO to get my little thing done, or for someone else. So you have to be understand. You have to see this very very clearly. The benefits of thinking out of the box is first to enhance the team performance. There will be someone, if it's you, who will be doing that and bring a lot of value to the team performance. The other thing is vision and growth. Leaders who think outside the box, they can create an adaptable and a resilient vision to the company. They can enable to pivot quickly uh, and respond to a market change or a market trend, or again a competitor that came up with something you never expected that would happen, and now you have to find a solution or a strategy to react. Unfortunately, it's better to be proactive, but if you have to be reactive, the thinking, the out of the box thinking can be extremely helpful. And then everything that are challenging and high risk in a company, or so if you have an innovating thinking, if you are creative, well, it can really sometimes disrupt a workflow, a process or a best practice, and create uncertainty. But it will get the company to another level of competition or another level of performance or efficiency that they'd never explored, never thought it could be possible to have. This is why you can be a very big element to disrupt, transform, accelerate the process of success, and succeed, and set other people also for that success. Finally, I think that thinking out of the box, you can take the example of two people I have in mind. One is the one you see everywhere, Elon Musk, right? I mean, his approach and at all the companies that like Tesla, SpaceX, amplify really all the unconventional thinking that you can imagine of. And when you bring him to a table or even to an interview, his way of answering, his way of saying, his sharing his vision is very different to any other one people that you saw. It's not predictable. And not only that, it makes always most of the time common sense. Richard Branson, if not he's the youngest today, he was, the Virgin's genius mind who always used that brand for different things. We had a Virgin cell phone company, we have the Virgin Atlantic airline, the Virgin label for the records and the music, Virgin Radio. This brand was something he optimized in the bigger sense, became a multi-billionaire, but is definitely out of the box. When he shows himself, performing different things, like climbing a mountain or jumping from the from I don't know how many thousands of feet high, it's pretty amazing. And the entrepreneurship behind it, the vision behind it, the proof of his approach of being a big outside the box thinker is a proof for what I'm trying to bring up today. I don't know if this is going to inspire you to the extent of saying to yourself, "Yeah, I have this potential. I've never used it. Maybe I should really explore." Well, contact me. Get to me. Let's talk about it. You again go to my website www.andrepolitzer.com or coachingpath.com, and you can hit the button, make an appointment, and we can meet for 20 minutes or so and discuss your specific goal regarding this. Okay, so I think that I made probably a point, and I apologize to you that I went a little bit out of track a couple of times with the elections, with the fact that it's difficult to live in an environment that sometimes can be toxic and biased. So this is good to think out of the box if you can, or to have people around you that you hire or you put in your team or partner with that have this tendency of thinking out of the box. They are conceptual, they're creative, and what they bring to the table is invaluable. It's totally things that have been proven on and on and on. At what point this is efficient to have someone like this in your organization. So I leave it with you. It's of course opening the topic more than doing a comprehensive presentation of what it means. You can apply this at any level of the organization, C-level down to any management position and below, and you will see that everybody participating to the future of the company, bring this kind of mindset when you're good at it, is worth trying. This is on these words that I would like to leave you today. Wish you a very good week and see you next on Tuesday. Remember, it's going to be exceptionally on Tuesday next week.